Welcome to Three Seasons in a Pod Trade Deadline Edition. I'm gonna say
Yes, sir.
because this is not
It's
really an
good.
official episode, right? It's really a trade
Nah, nah,
deadline thing.
nah.
We did the same thing last year,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
we're really gonna react to winners and losers. I think, um,
For sure.
and I think a good way to do it is let's each throw out a team, and then we can talk about
Mhm.
their trades.
I'm cool with
Um,
that.
I'm gonna say the obvious one because we're already all thinking it, and I think an obvious winner is the Knicks.
Yep,
I
yep.
think the Knicks. And okay, we discussed this in the group chat at length when the trades were actually happening, but man, they've actually done a really good job of maneuvering and retooling their pieces to get to a point where I really feel like they have a lot more depth than they did coming into the year, right? Even though they traded some pretty key players, they traded R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel quickly for OG or Ogie. And then now more recently they've traded for Bogdan from the Pistons, the Bojan, sorry. Dude,
Yeah,
they have like the
Boyan.
same
Yep.
name. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They traded for Bojan and then they got Alec Burks as well. And realistically in the Pistons trade, they didn't give up anything other than Quentin Grimes, who's been phased out of their lineup by Tibbs.
Yeah.
So, man, you look at that roster top to bottom. I I said this in the text, and I believe it. I really think they're the second best team in the East. Like
Yeah, no, I would
Mhm.
agree.
I feel like they would be.
Um,
I feel like even before the trade, they were kind of in the
yeah,
convo for being better than the Bucks this year. But man,
Yeah.
which
I
is
think
which is what
it's
I was like
yeah,
alluding to essentially. I think they've always had like good depth, but now their depth is just more connected. Like RJ is a piece for sure. Like he obviously is contributing on the Raptors now. But it just didn't make sense with uh their main players to have RJ's skill set alongside that. And then it was similar with like Quickly, where it was like you can't play Quickly and Brunson at the same time. That's just too small of a backcourt and stuff like that. So replacing that, and DiVincenzo was a great pickup in free agency, and then yeah, getting Burks and Bogdanovich now. I think they all are like of similar molds, which is what I was like saying in the group chat, just like as a joke, obviously. But yeah, I think it further solidifies for me the fact that they're like going to be the second best team.
yep.
I still like, well, I know like people are really hyping it up, and I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be hyped up for it, especially if you're a Knicks fan, because Knicks fans have been like they haven't had a competent squad in like hella years. So that's a whole other conversation. Knicks fans can definitely like get hyped for this kind of stuff. But in terms of like uh jumping in terms of like how good their team already was, I think it just like it's pretty marginal in my opinion. I think they have guys that do a lot of those same things already. But this is just more so of like insurance in case like someone either goes down or someone just ends up not having one of those days. Like Burks can obviously light it up for 20 along with Bogdanovich. Bogdanovich damn near averages like 20 for like the past 7 years or some shit. But yeah, any of those guys can go off at any moment, and I'm going to be interested in how like Tibbs rolls with it, and essentially because it's not like he's never had a lot of depth or anything like that, but he's known for obviously like driving his starters into like the ground with playing hella minutes and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if he rides with like the hot hand on this team, because I feel like they could totally do that, or if he has like that same philosophy, and the other guys will be just ushered back a little bit more, like Josh Hart or something will end up getting like 15 to 20 something minutes instead of like
Mhm.
damn near like 40.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, the Knicks. I mean, like after their run in the playoffs last season, I think you kind of like. I think certain fans and I guess as a whole were like, the Knicks they're going to be good for the next couple of years with that core that they already had that consisted of RJ, Randall, Brunson, and all that. But I think obviously at the start of the season, kind of like sensed that it was time for a culture change. So I feel like front office definitely did a good job of all right opening up and like all right, we got to get rid of RJ, got to get rid of IQ, and just turn it into OG and all these other pieces that they just picked up today. They definitely, in my opinion, like we were saying, they didn't like take a significant jump, but I think it's kind of clear that they're that second team in the East that we got to worry about because again, after what they did last year, I think with more time and just kind of like getting acquainted and stuff with each other, I think this next team could be real dangerous. And then
For sure.
Yeah.
I think for me, like, I wouldn't say they are Celtics level, but I do
Yeah.
think the addition of Bojan specifically, bigger body, and he's able to kind of create his own offense. Even Dante was able to do that.
Yeah, he did,
Especially after
for
OG
sure.
went down, he's been able to
Yep.
really create his own offense. I think for a while, at least in the beginning of the season, they've relied so heavily on Brunson to be basically the offense, and then obviously Randall, who's kind of a black hole.
Mhm.
And I think you saw teams see a lot of success just doubling one of those guys, and that they kind of really melted down when that happened because they weren't able to respond. But I think with this addition of Bojan and then with Dante stepping up, I do think that adds a different dynamic to their team and more other like because obviously I know what you were saying is I know it's a joke, but like I know what you were saying where they kind of all provide the same thing, right? Where OG is kind of like a complementary player. He's not really someone you think of as creating his own offense. Josh Hart, same thing. I don't know. Alec Burks is kind of a tweener of that. He can and he can't be.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But I do like the fact that they have basically four guys now that can create their own offense. And if a team like the Celtics, like this is, I'm just thinking back to when we play them. You throw a double at Jalen Brunson or you throw a double at Julius Randle. Now when they swing it, you have a couple other guys that can create their own offense. And I think that opens up a lot for them. So I actually think they improved quite a bit. I think it's a little bit more than marginal. I do think this moves the needle a bit for them. And
Mhm.
realistically, I could see it being Celtics Knicks Eastern Conference Finals.
yeah. I mean, I already see that, but like I said, I just think that those guys were already capable of doing so. Like I think Bogdanovich is the best shot creator out of all of those guys, anyways. But OG and DiVincenzo already were more than like capable of doing those similar things. So all I'm saying is that I doubt all of those guys are going to do the same things now. So it's going to be like DiVincenzo has been showing out because of injuries and stuff like that. And honestly, like DiVincenzo has been such an underrated player since like 3-4 years ago, being able to do these things.
Yep.
But with those additions of those guys, I just feel like DiVincenzo will just go back to doing and being a connector player.
Yeah.
So it won't look much different from what they're already doing now, is what I'm trying to say.
For sure.
Because DiVincenzo stepping up is basically going to be like Bogdanovich doing what he's doing now.
Yeah.
And then DiVincenzo is going to play the role that he was already playing when everyone wasn't injured. So that's why I don't think it's too crazy of a difference. But like I said, I think Bogdanovich has the most offensive skill that they've had in that like third-ish guy in a while. And he can for sure be that like third best offensive player. But I also think like OG already serves as that. He's just a little bit more like clunky compared to a pure scorer or something like that.
Really OG more from the defensive standpoint.
Defensive side.
Yeah, but honestly, I have like I think he's actually really good on the offensive side too.
Yeah.
In terms of not being or like playing within the offense and stuff like that, especially when I was watching him a lot in Toronto. So yeah, I mean, for sure. Like I said, I think regardless, I already had them as like the second best team, or like the team that I would choose to beat any of like the other guys, especially with like the Embiid stuff, and then the Bucks not looking as great as we've all been saying. So yeah, it just solidifies that for me.
No, for sure. No, I get it. I think we're kind of all in agreement, but like, I really like whatever Leon Rose. He's the former agent. So I have my doubts, man. I'm not gonna lie, but
no, I agree. He wasn't looking like anything too crazy. But like I said, and I don't know if I said this on an actual episode or just like in group chats and stuff. Like this is the best, like construction of a team that you can possibly build for someone who doesn't have like that 1-2 superstars. So it's like if there's any team that like has a chance of winning a chip who doesn't have that like top 5 player in the league, it's the Knicks.
Yeah.
And this just like
Agree.
reinforced that concept.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they're gonna do. But yeah, I think it'll only be as far as like Randall will take them in the playoffs.
Agreed.
As much as like Jalen Brunson has become like the one, Randall is clearly like the number 2 in that team. So if he's unable to get
Carry
past
the
his
load.
like playoff deficiencies as we've seen, then they're like I'm not going to be like super high on the Knicks essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, one of you guys want to throw out another team?
Yeah, Nathan, you got it.
Me, I don't want to be the homer yet, but I think for me, I mean, it was just one trade. I do like the Thunder picking up
I
Gordon
have them as a
Hayward.
winner too.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, Thunder, they were like one piece away of like they had the assets, they have almost that draft capital to pick up a star that would have been on the market. I think going out to get a solidified veteran in Gordon Hayward, to not really ask for a lot and come in, play 15-20 minutes a game, knowing his injury history and all that he's been through. I think that's a nice little just veteran presence for them. Kind of just lead the way. Yeah, he hasn't like gone far in the playoffs, but just being able to help lead that young core that's already a top 3 team in the West. I think it's a sneaky good pickup in my opinion, because there was already reports saying that he would have got either bought out by the Hornets or like they would have reconstructed a new contract with them. So the fact that he gets to get out of Charlotte, with Terry Rozier saying that's a losing culture already, kind of going and be on OKC, that's an up and coming franchise. I think that's a nice little opportunity for him.
Yeah.
After what he's been through.
It's good for him, honestly, too. Like he's gonna be thriving in OKC, especially being on like a winning team against when you talk about like the culture and stuff. But yeah, those were my 2 main points too, where it was the fact that they needed or like they have a vet of some sorts, regardless of if he's gotten super far into the playoffs or not. They're still like the second youngest team, even though they're succeeding as much as they are right now. So any like veteran presence would benefit, especially for what they gave up. Like I'm a fan of Trey Mann, but I think he obviously needed a change of scenery, and he wasn't gonna be better than the guards that they have already. So that was nice. And then Davis Bertans was like not really playing, anyways, and more of just like a salary filler, to be honest. And then yeah, the other thing is just I feel like his play style fits perfectly with how OKC runs things, where they like yes, Shea is essentially their point guard, but they love having everyone being able to do everything. Just like those all around skill sets and stuff like that. Like you get the board, you bring it up, you like initiate the plays and stuff like that. And I think Gordon Hayward as a wing can fill that same role that like J-Dub, Shea, Giddy, and even like Chet and stuff like do when they play their game. And I mean, as like Celtics fans, we know that whenever Gordon Hayward was even like relatively healthy and playing with us, he just made things like way more smooth for the offense when things were like
it was super underrated, honestly.
Yeah, especially like the last year. Like he never really like got back to healthy. Well, I guess that was his healthiest season, the last season with us. But yeah, like he would dramatically like make our offense look smoother. So for free flowing offense already in OKC, he's just like he's gonna be a plug and play player. He's gonna be fire.
For sure. I always thought Gordon Hayward, if he was healthy in 2020 in the bubble, we'd probably make the finals.
I agree.
But no, I love the addition. And honestly, he's probably going to be like a better iteration of what OKC wanted Giddy to be.
Yeah.
Because Giddy was really shaky in terms of reliable shooting. A lot of teams sag off him, and it allowed them to really provide extra like presence to help on Shea's driving, on Jalen Williams driving. Like, I do think a lineup with Hayward and their actual starters would be just so much better, provided he's healthy.
Yeah.
But no, I had them as a winner as well. They didn't really give up anything, if we're being honest.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if they give up like a first, dude, they have like 20 firsts. It doesn't matter. So the fact that they were able to improve, and I feel like he's on an expiring deal, I believe. I think this is his final year of his contract.
It should be, yeah.
So realistically, this is like a low risk, high reward type of situation for the Thunder.
Mhm.
And
100%.
if he's healthy, man, that's such a boost for them, especially come playoff time because I can't think of a player on their team that actually has playoff experience.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Shea.
Like Shea had playoff experience, but he was playing off the bench in LA, right?
Yeah.
So
Hey, but he was
Yeah.
he was still doing
you
his
know what I
thing.
mean? You know
He was
what I
killing
mean?
it.
So,
He killed it that
but
playoff series.
but you know, like now he's the man, and I think Hayward will really.
And then didn't they have a series
They had a
in
playing
OKC
game. They
okay, they had a playing game
had a
with
playing
Chris
game.
Paul.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Did they? No, they had a series. You're right.
Oh, they had a
Yeah.
series. Yeah, they had a series.
That's what I thought. I
Right,
thought that
they
his second year he had one series, and then they had playing games with Shea as like the
Yeah.
You're
guy.
right. Yeah, it was
Last
like
year.
Chris Paul's lone year. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, even still, like
He's like the only one with
he's the
playoff
only one with
experience.
like any
Pretty much.
amount of games. So yeah, I think OKC's the winner. You got any other team?
Mhm.
Kyle?
Agreed. I had the Mavs.
I also had the Mavs.
Yeah, I knew that one was
Yes.
coming. Yep.
That's why I left it open because I was like, of course I'm going to be the one to say it. But yeah, so they got rid of Grant. I think they ended up getting rid of Seth Curry too.
Seth
I forget
Curry.
and
how they
Yeah.
got rid of it, but then Rashawn Holmes was in the trade for Daniel Gafford and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think the two guys that they got make a lot of sense for the team. Derek Lively, as like great as he's been, he's still a rookie. So if they want to have any like chance of getting to that finals run, Daniel Gafford has been like laying it the fuck up in Washington. Honestly, like super underrated. And like he doesn't even need that like 35-minute capacity to really like be effective. He gets like hella stocks, and is just like a good ish presence. So I think them in tandem actually like works perfectly because I think before it felt like they needed Lively to do like everything all the time, and like obviously as a rookie it was a bit difficult, and he's been having injury stuff. Not that Daniel Gafford is anything like he's not an Iron Man himself, like he gets injured a lot, but like I said, I think those two in tandem complement each other a lot and will complement Luka's game. And I just think PJ Washington is going to be interesting, especially because they got rid of Grant in that same role essentially. Grant hasn't been as like effective at all, honestly, since his first like whatever games in the beginning of the season where he was like shooting 50% from three and shit.
I was like something happened last year, you know.
No facts. So so for them to get PJ Washington, who I feel like is an underrated player as well, who's just been in like, you know, the losing culture of the Hornets and stuff like that. He could provide like a punch of some sorts, especially like an offensive punch outside of just like Kyrie and Luka. So yeah, they didn't really give up anything honestly, and they got more like front court size, which has been a thing that they're kind of lacking.
Yeah, for sure. I think PJ is like just a vast upgrade over this recent iteration of Grant. I think we were joking about this offline, obviously, but it's like I've never seen a player go from scrub supernova for like 8 months and then just become a scrub again. Like,
yeah, it's crazy, bro.
Yo, Grant, I love you, bro. Like, yo, get your bag, but holy shit, like that's fucking crazy, man.
It's crazy.
But no, like PJ, I think is really under the radar player. You're not really thinking of him, and outside of the whole Brittany Renner shit, nobody's really talking about PJ Washington. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, but I do think he's a solid offensive player. Can't say I know his defensive game that well, but
he's like sneaky defensively.
Gotta be better than whatever the fuck Grant Williams is doing.
Exactly.
And same sentiments with Gafford. He was someone I was looking at last year when we needed.
He was really good defensively, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that they got him, really, he can really interchange with Lively in terms of who starts and who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And Lively is pretty injury prone himself. So it's good for them to get that depth. I'm really interested to see how they all kind of integrate into that Mavs system. Because Kyrie's been pretty hurt throughout the whole year. He's starting to get a little bit more healthy. Luka's obviously been balling out. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been pretty on and off for that team. So I think it'd be interesting the dynamic that in which they use PJ Washington. Because we know what Gafford's going to do, right? Gafford's going to go in there and rebound. He's going to defend the paint and block shots, right? But I'm interested in how they utilize PJ Washington. Because I don't think of PJ Washington as a sharpshooter. And
Mhm.
for all the downside we give Grant, he's a good shooter. But
Yeah, but I would say that since I've been watching them, Derek Jones Jr. has been starting over Grant, so he would be taking Derek Jones Jr.'s spot. And in terms of shooting, I would probably take PJ Washington as like a more
Yeah.
consistent 3-point shooter, and just like an overall player. I think Derek Jones Jr. has been like doing everything that needs to be done as like a connector piece.
Yeah.
But I think PJ is capable of doing that. Plus, he has like just a higher ceiling of offensive capability and like even defensive capability from what I've heard about his play on the Hornets. So I think, yeah, he takes that spot pretty like perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think like you were saying, like Derrick Jones Jr. is kind of playing that DiVincenzo role right now. Like those injuries and stuff, he's kind of slotted in to kind of make something happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With Kyrie and Luka always being hurt, but I think yeah, like that PJ addition, I think he's sneaky underrated. Definitely like obviously upgrade over Gray. He kind of reminds me of like when they had Christian Wood, and how Christian Wood was able to kind of like thrive and be like more of like a floor spacer for Luka. I mean, obviously he didn't last too long because he was gone after that. But I think PJ could show some kind of similar iteration, in my opinion. And Gafford, they had Dwight Powell as a backup behind Lively. I think they're just undersized, like in general. So being able to add to the front court with these two bigs, and either way, whatever Jason Kidd comes up in a way to play them, I think it's definitely helpful for them. Like they're going to be able to go deeper than I expected after like these struggles that they've been going through. And obviously, a lot of it has to do with injuries and not being able to like fully connect on the court, you could say. But I think over time, as long as they get this to mesh and stuff, Dallas could be a good sneaky team as wherever they finish in the West, in my opinion.
I agree. I think they just basically added talent to the front court, which they were like lacking. And yeah, injuries has definitely been the biggest thing for the Mavs so far. So, just getting any extra bodies I feel like will be interesting because no matter what, I think they have like that puncher's chance out of like most teams. Like when we end up doing our like contender stuff, just going down the list of like teams who I like genuinely feel have a chance. I think just the combination of having Luka and like Kyrie puts them over a lot of other teams in the West. Even though their record isn't like anything crazy right now. Like there's obviously like that 2 to 3 like heavy favorites in the West, but outside of that, I might damn near take like the Mavs over all the others.
Like a dark horse.
Yeah.
There's rumors because Toronto waived Spencer Dinwiddie. So I think it's between the Lakers and the Mavs.
Yeah, I heard the Lakers for sure, but I did hear a little bit about the Mavs too, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
Depth is depth.
Let's see.
Extra depth. So I'm gonna throw a name out there. I don't give a fuck. The Celtics. No, for real. Like I really think they're not obviously like in the top tier of the splashy moves, right? You're not gonna say, oh my god, they won. They're the best trade deadline of any team. But I do think they kind of win because they traded Lamar Stevens. Basically ended bench guy, doesn't really do anything. They traded Delano Banton, ended the bench guy, hasn't really done anything, right? Just really bench warmers. And they got, in my opinion, Xavier Tillman is going to be a rotational big. I actually think as he gets integrated with our system, he's probably going to take one of Luke or Keita's minutes. Like,
dude, I 100% think he's going to take.
You know what I mean? Or both. You know what
minutes,
I mean?
man.
Sure.
Like, Tillman was playing in last year's playoffs, bro, and like was like legitimately good. I think like he is extremely not like underrated as a pickup because obviously we're all hyped and stuff, but he's a starting level big man.
And I think I'm obviously reading a lot of this stuff going around because we don't get to watch a lot of Memphis games, but he's like elite with all the defensive metrics. He's like third in rim protection, and then he's like eighth in this EPM thing. I don't fucking know what it is, but I'm not a stats guy. You know me, I'm not that. But he's like elite in all those categories, and I really think he's gonna slide in and really be that consistent, like probably second big off the bench after Al. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked a little bit about Jaden Springer, and we were all kind of shocked that the Sixers even traded him to us because he actually has been looking really good since Embiid's gone down. And the last couple games, they were playing the Mavericks and the Warriors, and he did a really good job defending Steph Curry and Luka. And
Mhm.
obviously, he's young, he's a little raw, he's not, and neither of the guys we got are anything offensively. But I mean, you add two end of bench guys and one end of bench guy and one guy that's really going to be a rotational player, and you lose two end of bench guys that really don't get minutes. I think that's a win. And you only give up second round picks, so
Mhm.
that's a win in my eyes.
No, I
And
agree.
yeah. You're adding two defensive dogs in Tillman and Springer. I mean, I like that defense. I mean, I like defense, but what's it called Xavier.
Hey man, I like defense too.
Yeah, man, defense is that defense wins championships, bro. But at the end of the day, but I don't know about you guys, but when I saw the Tillman news, I mean, I was kind of hyped like crazy.
Oh hell yeah!
Like
Yeah,
obviously
the Tillman was
seeing what he's done in the playoff, and then what he's done this season, like with everybody going down and him just stepping up with kind of being like a top 3 guy on the team, you could say. But dude, I don't know when I see him play and kind of like his skill set, kind of reminds me of what we dreamt of Grant Williams being like the next baby Al, like who could take over for Al Horford. Obviously, we
yeah,
got Porzingis to kind of like help that, but I think Tillman's pretty much that same mold of Al Horford. I'm not saying he's going to be as great. Al Horford's fucking incredible. Dude, he just
no,
does
absolutely.
everything. But Tillman, I think he's just like a couple levels below that. But he's definitely, maybe as time goes on, like in the future, he'll be able to develop that and learn from Al and kind of be like that, do it all, 4, 5, you could say. But I think just in like if you're looking at it right now, like it's a sneaky, like good small move that could definitely benefit us in the future. And we did say he's only 25 years old,
Yep.
Yep.
so there's time for him to grow and kind of like reach that as we try to start this dynasty and get this first chip. And then Springer, man,
Agreed.
kind of
Baby
like
smart.
you were saying, baby smart, man. If you don't get a nickname like that, man, after my favorite player, you better be serious, dog. But nah, seeing him, I remember watching him against Golden State. Like he's active hands, quick feet. That's like kind of like the first two things you kind of look for in a guard defensively.
Sneaky
And if you,
hops too. He could
yeah,
jump.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you could have that, not really like, and you could just like the 1-2 things you could like hone in on defense. I think that's something that you really can't teach. Like, so just him having that ability already and then coming in and learning from more. I think we have two of the freaking best defensive guards in the league right now, Derek White and Drew Holiday. So I can only
Mhm.
imagine he's going to get way better having to guard these guys in practice, learning from them. So, dude, I love these pickups. So,
No, I agree. I think yeah, I mean I was definitely looking for like offensive shot creation for these for this trade deadline, but I don't really have a problem with the way that we went about it because buffing up the defense is always fun. Like I've always loved the defensive players anyways. So if these guys and I put down a note too that I was just like or I put in the group chat too where it's just I think the IQ of it is going to be like the best part about it. Because yeah, we had guys like Lamar Stevens and like Banton and stuff like that, and those guys were, physically they were good because they had the, I guess like measurements and all that kind of stuff, and they just like put the actual effort in into the system and all that stuff. But these guys are very very like smart defensive players, and they
mhm.
also have like those physical attributes to it. And obviously based off of like the film that we've seen, the limited film we've seen on their teams, they've always been those guys that are like super high effort on the defensive end and stuff like that. And damn near like that was the whole reason why they were on the court and stuff. So yeah, getting those two guys is definitely a huge plus, and I think the fact that they're both young just gives more like I don't know, like more praise for Brad essentially because as much as he's been doing a great job of like building the team now, I think he's just continues to look into the future where it's just like, bro, a lot of our core and like even now looking like a lot of our role players that we could see like towards the future are all with like under 30. And the fact that none of them are in their not even like in their primes yet. So there's a lot to like continue to build up. There's a lot of like building blocks to continue with. I think it's super underrated for what like Brad has been doing. So it's gonna be super exciting to see how these guys turn out.
Yeah,
especially spring.
For sure, they definitely fit the timeline, and it's like kind of like a mini Derek White trade almost.
Yeah, I agree.
Gonna catch a lot of people off guard, I think. And this is the part where I would have played He's Done Miracles on me, but soundboard didn't work. I have another team that I was on the fence about including, but I think I'm gonna include them. I don't know if you guys had any other teams.
I might have them on the fence too, but I didn't put any like them in the clear winner, so you can.
Yeah,
you can
I had
say
them on the fence, but I just really like the move for them. The Suns. I like that they picked up Royce. I like that they picked up Royce O'Neal, and I think a team like that where they're starving for depth, if you can get a player that's a really good role player, like I think Royce is, for basically nothing. I think they gave up Utah and a couple second round picks, and they got Royce O'Neal. And I think they got the Grizzlies to facilitate the salary portion of the deal. But
I think they got David Roddy too, low key.
Yeah, they got David Roddy.
Like crazy, but
they
got David.
I think they shipped Metu too to the Grizzlies or something like that.
Yeah,
could be wrong.
I don't know too much about David Roddy, but I mean, they say he's pretty young too, so I'm sure
he's a big guard.
Yeah.
But yeah,
actually,
because Royce was really good with Utah. He was actually a name I think that we were talking about for the Celtics.
Potentially
wanting to get on the Celtics. You know, big wing, kind of a glue guy, can hit threes, but defend, and I think adding that to, I'm still kind of surprised that they're even able to make trades. If I'm being honest, the Suns.
That's fact.
But if you're able to, kind of bolster that roster in any way, I think that's a win.
Yep. That's been their biggest like struggle so far anyways. It's just like having serviceable guys or like guys that they can rely on. They really only had like 5 to 6, or I would say 6 if you include like Aaron Gordon, Grayson Allen, stuff like that. And outside of that, it's just been a struggle to find like who else could even like contribute. So to get at least that 7th guy is great. And I mean, maybe one of those other guys step up like the David Roddy or whoever else is on the roster currently. So yeah, like I think that any depth will help them because that's one of the biggest things they're lacking, I would say, or one of the only things.
100%.
Picking up a piece like Royce, who's pretty good defensively, I think because they don't have no clear like best defender, and I think him picking up Royce, I think kind of like clears that. He's kind of like their best defender outside of maybe Josh Okogie. So just being able to have that weapon in the back pocket, like once the playoffs start, I think it's kind of important because especially playing in the West, you're gonna have somebody guard the best player of the other team. I think Royce is definitely capable of doing that.
For sure. All right, losers. Grant Williams. All right. I had one weird I don't know if they're losers. I'm just confused. I had the Raptors, man. Like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, so I put them like to be determined too because I had no idea what they were really like aiming for.
Yeah.
Like their point guard switch was weird, especially because they ended up waiving Dinwiddie.
A first round pick for Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, and then they got a first round pick, or they gave it up for Kelly. So I'm like, I don't know the direction that they're trying to go to. Like, O'Shea is cool. I think. I mean, he low-key could become something. But yeah, I had me kind of confused. I had them in the same like exact scenario where it's just like I don't really know if they're a winner or a loser.
It's weird because you would think okay they're finally trending towards like building towards the future when they traded Siakam and they traded OG, and now it's like wait we got Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
And then we gave up Dennis Schroeder, and then we got Spencer Dinwiddie. Oh, but wait, we waived Spencer Dinwiddie. Just
doesn't make any sense.
The fuck are they doing? That
they look towards the future just to take a step back.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
Giving up assets to do it too. I think that's the weird.
Yeah, and then also like not getting rid of Bruce Brown either.
Yeah, that was not getting assets for Bruce Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of I don't know. Like I don't know if they're trying to be competitive like next year, and they're kind of
Mhm.
just getting the groundwork for that. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, I guess, but I definitely was thinking that they would go straight towards the like, all right, we have our 2 or 3 like young guys. Let's see how like they really rock, and spend a
Mhm.
lot of time evaluating that, as in like the end of this year, going into the off season, and like evaluate that. But I feel like now, yeah, the added piece of like O'Shea is another young piece to evaluate, along with like Grady Dick, and then you have Bruce Brown and Kelly, who are like connecting players for sure. They're not going to like take away from the young guys. But yeah, giving up a first round pick is probably the weirdest thing
Yeah.
out of
Mhm.
everything. Like, yeah, you could have got like, not trading Bruce Brown is one thing, but to give an actual asset is kind of like odd
Yeah.
to me.
And Kelly O is like 32, I think. Doesn't really
Yeah,
fit the
Yep.
timeline. It's just weird. And same thing with
I don't know what
Bruce.
his contract is right now though.
He is expiring this year.
So I mean,
Mhm.
yeah,
Maybe
I
it's a
guess that's
salary
something.
dump, but
It
like
makes
That's
giving up a first round pick to salary dump, that's just fucking, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I guess that's something. And then yeah, the point guard switch, that one I really have no idea. Like, I would have to actually look into it to see what the hell people are cooking up.
It's the
Because
same thing. Because like, okay, they just gave Schroeder a 3-year deal.
Yep.
And then they traded him for Dinwiddie. So like, Dinwiddie.
okay,
is an
yeah, Dinwiddie
expiring
is
deal.
an expiring.
So
Okay,
that
Mhm.
sort of makes sense, but then like, it's kind of an oxymoron because you gave a, I don't know,
because you're still gonna end up. Yeah,
the fuck is going on in Masai?
Yeah.
I don't know. That dude.
Who
is
knows,
CTE.
man?
I think I have another team. I think you guys could say it, but I think we're all thinking it.
are we doing straight losers or
Straight
like
losers.
this defense?
Straight lose.
Straight losers.
Straight losers, I guess.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I got a few losers. I'm like, on
Yeah, I
the
got a
fence
few.
ones.
I
We could do
think
the on the fence ones first if you want to do that.
we could do that, but I think we all have
We
the
could
same
do
definitive loser.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let
I
me
think
do
so.
let me do the on the fence team
Okay.
other than the Raptors.
Okay.
So I had like the Pistons too for on the fence.
Mm.
On the
Because I don't know.
Okay.
I also have no idea what the
I
fuck
don't
they were
know.
cooking.
It's true.
No.
They moved so many players and got so many players.
Yeah.
And then like, yo, when they waived Killian Hayes, I was like, what
That
the
caught
hell
me
are
off
they?
guard.
Like, I
Yeah.
get Killian Hayes that stuff didn't really like work out. But the fact that they didn't even like go for a trade for him,
Not even
like,
a
there's no
second
way
round
that
pick. Yeah.
there's no way there was no market for him. And then yeah, like keeping Evan Fournier is odd, instead of like, if you're trying to get rid of someone who's not like gonna contribute as much, I guess, because I don't
Yeah.
envision Evan Fournier like playing a lot of minutes.
And he's on an
but
expiring deal too, right? I think.
Yeah, and then I like the Fontecchio pickup. I was like, it makes
Mhm.
sense to get some spacing. And then I like the Quentin Grimes pickup because it's like, he could be a guy for sure.
Yeah.
But then yeah, you just have all those other moving parts, and it's kind of just like confusing. I really can't tell if I like this or not.
Yeah. Kind of up in the air.
And
man.
the only reason why I point them out is because they were probably the most active team
100%.
throughout this
Yeah.
whole like freaking life.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, if you kind of look at it, I guess Killian Hayes, yeah, like, kind of surprising there was no market for him. But I think just his tenure in Detroit, I feel like no other team really wanted to kind of like take the chance on him, you could say. But I think
maybe.
But I mean, then releasing him, I think if you look at it, kind of bringing in, all those guards from New York, bringing in Quentin Grimes, kind of, if you had Killian Hayes, you kind of had to pick one or the other.
Yeah,
think
no,
they
I don't think
kinda-
getting rid of him was wrong. I just think waiving him was odd. Because like,
Yeah, no, for sure.
it's not like the Spurs or something can't use a backup point guard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
yeah.
They just have Trey Jones there. So it's like,
Yeah.
and even like the Hornets who got rid of like some players and stuff too.
Yeah, the Wizards or something, something like that. But I mean, yeah, Quentin Grimes, we'll see. I think that was kind of like all right, you kind of have a definitive role. We brought you here for a reason. And then all the other pieces, kind of small pieces again. So, I mean, kind of can see it a little bit, but again, he's like, we don't really know.
Yeah.
You could say.
So I have an on the fence team, because I don't hate the move, but it's kind of weird to do. I don't know. Maybe they're looking forward to next year. I have the Sixers.
Yep.
Mhm.
That was
Yeah,
my
that's
first
good
one,
too.
too.
So
Yep.
if Embiid was healthy, I would have actually really liked the Buddy Hield pickup.
Yeah.
Personally, but
Mhm.
Embiid, for all intents and purposes, man, meniscus tear, he's gonna be reevaluated realistically in 8 weeks, 6 to 8
One
weeks.
man.
Mhm.
So like 300, 7 foot, 300-pound dude getting back to basketball activities as the playoffs start. That's not a recipe for success,
Yeah.
MVP level player or not. So the Buddy Hield move makes not the most sense at the moment. Maybe he's committing long term, but
Yeah,
Buddy,
that would be my only guess.
like he's making what $20 million a year this year.
Something like that. Yeah.
And
Around there.
probably gonna have to pay him, right? Maybe 15-ish million or something like that. He's probably gonna look to get paid. So it'll be interesting how they move forward. I don't think it's enough to call them a definitive loser.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
the,
just a
the
weird
thing
move.
is, I think they gave up expirings anyways.
Yeah.
Like Marcus Morris and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure I read too that what is it? Embiid is probably like, I think the only guaranteed contract going into next season. So
Yeah.
the fact that they're able to do that and just have a hell of money to work with, I guess, is a
Mhm.
plus of its own. And then like you were saying, that Buddy Hield is he's a contributing player. Yeah, regardless of if Embiid comes back this season or not.
Mhm.
I think he's a talent upgrade over the guys that they gave up. So that
Yeah.
for sure I think was nice. But yeah, everything else that they did afterwards, which is kind of confusing, which is why I put them on the fence too. Like getting rid of Jaden Springer, Pat Bev to the Bucks.
Okay. Yeah.
Just those moves didn't really like feel like they got anything out of it, and more so just like, even if it was very marginally, like helped out the other teams.
They like retooled this in a sense.
Yeah, so it was like, are they throwing the white flag like this season, or yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like that from what they did, but it's not like they don't have like players, because Pat Bev and Jaden Springer were not like huge pieces to their playoff push potentially, but they still were like relatively good pieces. So it was just kind of weird for me to, I guess, to witness for the Sixers.
There's no direction, especially like with, and they're kind of like teetering around the bush with the Embiid news. They're trying to, they're doing everything in their power to like not head on tell us what's going on, right?
Say that they're out for the season.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
or he's
literally
out
a
for
meniscus tear, but they're calling it like a flap. Like, dude, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? So, and they won't commit to saying, "Oh yeah, he's definitely out for the year," or "He's definitely out for 8 weeks," or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so no fucking clue what's going on over there, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any others?
Me.
You said you had a lot, right? So I don't know.
Me. I mean, I had a couple. I mean, Philly was one, Raps was one.
Yep.
I think another one. I think you could say is my team, the Wolves. They picked up Monte Morris. I think was the only move they made.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, but I don't know. I think Kyle kind of mentioned in the group chat, like, their fourth quarter freaking offense is horrendous.
Yeah, dude. It's just gotten worse, man.
Yeah.
But like I feel like they needed what OKC did. They needed a veteran presence and a veteran, not really scorer, but a do-it-all player that could kind of help, again, connect the team in a way. Jaden McDaniels is more of a defensive menace. Anthony Edwards is questionable with his shot selection sometimes. Cat kind of, gets a little shooting heavy sometimes. So I don't know. I think they just needed what, like a Gordon Hayward, or again a kind of wing to kind of like put it all together in a sense.
That's facts.
So that's why I kind of have it like in between. Like I can't really say they're a winner or a loser. It's like we don't know what this. And Monte Morris has been out for the majority of the season. Yeah, we kind of have insight on the kind of player he is in Denver and stuff like that. But I think as a whole, it's a decent pickup. But I just don't know, how it will work out for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Monte Morris is back right now.
Yeah, he's back for sure.
Yeah, so then, yeah, I mean, I feel similar things. We already talked about it. Like, I'm not super confident in their fourth quarter execution. It's a lot of just like, Ant, save us, take a contested three type shit. And I mean, it's worse, but it's like kind of nostalgic or like reminiscent of the Celtics at times.
Yeah.
Where it's just like,
give it to the Jays and let him work.
Yeah, like the best player take a tough shot and like save us in the fourth quarter type shit, because no one else can like really do anything, and there's no real flow to our offense. So that is like definitely scary for them. And yeah, like Monte Morris, I do think is a cool pickup, because he plays like the Mike Conley role, but like at a maybe like at a worse level. I don't really know if you would equate that because of age and stuff, but I think he'll be able to do a lot of what Mike Conley does for them in the starting unit and the second unit and stuff like that. So, yeah, I could see where, you know, that you would have wanted to have like a little bit more added to the team for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe some like wing shot creation.
Yeah.
for sure.
You had another team, Val.
This one I don't really have as much insight, but I kind of just felt the same where the Nets didn't really know what they were doing.
No direction. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I guess they moved off of some pieces, you know?
I agree. I wouldn't say they're outright losers, but on the one hand, it's like, okay, you're obviously having a fire sale, right? You trade Royce O'Neal, you trade Spencer Dinwiddie, you trade,
Yeah. You just didn't trade anyone who really had like
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
real value.
and then
Yeah.
you take on Schroeder, who has a 3-year deal. So it's
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean? That's, what did you
Yeah.
gain out of that?
Yep.
And you got a bunch of seconds for it when
Mhm.
last year you could have gotten 2 first-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith. So, like, I don't know what they're doing either, man. Like,
Yeah. So it didn't really make too much sense with their, and maybe it's financial stuff that I didn't really like look into, but just like off player stuff and the way that their team is built, it didn't really feel like they were going in any direction, whether it was like fire sale or building into a core that maybe no one else believes in. Because even if they did that, I would kind of respect it. But like,
it's funny too because like they're trading off all these wings and they kept Lonnie Walker, who's gonna walk after this year. When they
Yeah.
got some
Definitely.
assets for him, you know what I mean. A lot of people, including us, we're looking at Lonnie Walker, and I'm surprised they didn't move him for some assets at least. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's definitely
knows?
borderline. They're not as losery as some of these other losers.
yeah, but we can get into the losers for sure.
All right, you want to
Because
get,
yeah,
into,
those are.
you want to get into the losers?
Yeah, I would say the first like obvious loser. I mean, I don't know how much you guys were seeing stuff, but I'm like, yo, Bulls fans were going crazy.
Bulls
I had the Bulls
Yeah.
as the biggest losers of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
they feel like the biggest loser for sure.
yeah.
And that was just because they are stuck in that purgatory where they just have no real assets, but also have no. They're not going to be competitive either, and they don't really have any young assets outside of like Kobe White.
Yep.
Patrick Williams could, I guess, be something, but this is
Oh,
almost like his
yeah.
third, fourth year.
Yep.
That it just takes. It would make sense if they like used the value that he has now to get something else. But yeah, the contracts that they have with like DeMar, Zach LaVine, and Drummond and Vucevic, like all those guys
Yep.
are like not signed, or they have no real value, but also they might get sucked into re-signing them for more than what they're actually valued.
Yeah.
It's either that or they just walk away for nothing, which is like also a horrible scenario too. So
Yeah, no, I agree. Like the sentiments are just like they're a middle of the pack team, and
Mhm.
barely middle of the pack. If we're being honest, they're in the lottery right now. I'm sure a team out there could have used a Vucevic. Like Embiid is injured. Maybe the Sixers could use
Yep.
Vucevic. You never
That
fucking
would
know,
be
right?
crazy.
Get something, right? DeRozan, I think they were talking about committing to him long term. He's 35.
Yep.
Can't really commit long term to that. Levine is out injured. He's probably their most valuable asset.
And even that is like
anything,
not
you
much
know what I mean?
because they would have already traded him.
But it's just
Yeah.
like you're
The
stuck.
Pistons?
You're stuck with this big three, right? And you're like, no, we're gonna fight for the playoffs. Like, for real? Like,
Yeah.
And then they're gonna fight for the playoffs, and they don't make any trades to make the roster better. So
Yeah.
it's just like, really? What's the plan here? You really think the roster as is, who I believe they're 10th in the East, in the fucking
Should be,
East?
yeah, 10.
Around there.
Like
Yeah.
10th, 11th in the East, and you're talking about fighting for the playoffs. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
and then like their one asset, just the one like positive asset in Alex Caruso is just like stuck there.
Exactly.
Like that's someone who you could kind of capitalize and then really try to figure out how do you want to manage this team. But he's just a good player, just stuck now, which
Yep.
sucks for him, but also just like they're not going anywhere anyways, realistically. So
Yeah, they probably could have got a first or two.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like I think
Yeah.
a contending team would have given a first for Alex Caruso.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
100%.
I think the Bulls, man, in general, they're just kind of stuck in hope. Like all right, we get Lonzo back next year. Let's kind of see if we could be what we wish we could be, type of situation. But like even that, I feel like you have these aging pieces in DeRozan and Vooch. It's like you can move on and kind of like revamp or retool in a sense,
Yeah.
and kind of just create a new path and for something. But like you can't expect too much when Lonzo does come back. Hopefully he does. Like I don't think it would be like some some hit like they'll be like top of the East or top 6 in the East or something. Like yeah, they'll probably be competitive, but in a sense, like Chicago should have made like a small major move or something, because not trading since 2021 is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think Zoe is
Yeah.
going to do a lot for the team, and still be like a really impactful player. But yeah, they're two main stars, and I guess if you want to extend that to the big three or whatever like that, all of them just none of them work together well.
Yep.
Even as individuals, their stats are not great. Like Vucevic is like the worst defensive center in the whole league. And then yeah, like DeMar's 35. Zach LaVine is. I do think Zach LaVine could be something, but not a 1 or a 2 on a team.
Agreed.
Like third, person on a championship team for sure. Like I think Zach could qualify for that, but yeah, none of those things mesh together. I think Zoe, like I said, will impact the team a lot along with Caruso, but yeah, it would have been a lot better, even if you're banking on Zoe, to just use those other guys to make the team make more sense around like Zoe and Caruso. If you were really to like hone in on those guys, obviously with like Kobe White too, because that's your real like young asset.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were the core of like those 3 guys or something like that, the other guys just don't make sense along with them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like Nathan was saying. We've been talking about this, them needing to blow it up for like 2.5, 3 years now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the fact that a professional general manager for an NBA team can't see that is insane.
Mhm.
I had one.
And honestly,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, another loser, I feel like is in a very similar boat
Yeah, you can.
to the Bulls, which is the Hawks.
The Hawks.
I feel like in similar. A lot of the things that we already said for the Bulls like applies to the Hawks. The only thing that makes it better is that they have a legitimate star like Trae Young.
Yep.
And even like their young asset in Jalen Johnson is like really, really good in my opinion. I think like borderline all-star type of play. And then yeah, like Onyeka Okongwu. He's just like Mr. Potential Man though, so like I'm not gonna say nothing. He's just like, hey, yeah, he's just, hey, if he started, he'd be fired for like 4 years. So that I'm not gonna really talk about too much, but I think everything else involving the Hawks is kind of just like mediocre team, and they have actual assets, but they just never apply them. And the team, they just haven't really hit on anything that they have tried to capitalize on. Like Sadiq Bey and DeJounte Murray, I like appreciate that they have gone to try to do something to build around Trae Young compared to like the Bulls, who haven't really done anything for a few years now.
Yep.
But now they're also just like holding too much value onto those guys, similar to like John Collins, where it took him like another 2 to 3 years to get moved away. And when they did, it wasn't anything too crazy from what I'm remembering. So yeah, it feels like the same thing with Clint Capella. Been 4 years that everyone's like, hey, Onyeka Okongwu, he could probably start if they traded away Clint Capella, but they've never traded away Clint Capella, so it's Mr. Potential Man to me. So
it's kind of like they're like they almost regret trading for DeJounte.
Yeah,
they gave up 3 firsts for the dude, so like they're hesitant to move him. But no, I agree. I feel like the Hawks are one of those teams that need to retool. They're obviously not as bad as the Bulls.
Yeah, even though the Bulls are ahead of them in seeding.
I mean, I'm talking about situation-wise.
No, I agree. It's just funny.
The situation's a lot better because at least for them, they have some promising things. And then worst comes to worst, they got Trae Young, and if they really do want to blow it up, they'll get some real assets for him. But I really can't think of a move that would have made them better. But I do think they should have retooled. I think DeJounte was a coveted asset for like at least 4 to 5 teams. There were 4 to 5 teams linked to him. Probably could have got some first for him. And just retool because you're not winning anything this year. At that point.
I agree. I mean, I don't think that there was a move in the works that could have actually made them like top 4, top 5 team or anything like that. But the fact that they didn't go anywhere with it in general like they didn't try to make the team worse or better and show any kind of like real direction is what I feel like can be disheartening for Hawks fans, for sure. Like
Agreed.
I'm even on the boat of it's cool if you keep DJ and Trey because I think Quinn Snyder is still trying to like I think he sees something, and I actually have like some kind of faith in Snyder as a coach.
Mhm.
So for them to coexist, I think it isn't impossible. But I think all the surrounding things kind of just like don't make a lot of sense. Like I said, like Clint could probably get traded, and you could like just unleash him and see if he actually is the center that you want in a playoff push or like championship run or something like that. And then you just have these surplus of like wings to guards who don't really do anything great. But they also don't really like mesh together either. They're like
Mhm.
the worst version of the Knicks, where it's like
I was gonna say that.
where it's like Bogdan, DeAndre Hunter, Sadiq Bey,
Yeah.
and like AJ Griffin and all that kind of stuff. Like they all kind of have the same skill sets, but none of them are like really great. While it's like with the Knicks, they all have the same skill sets, but all of them are actually really great.
Yeah.
So it's just unfortunate, but it's like, yo, they got to do something, in my opinion.
Nope. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Because like, I don't know, man. The Hawks, they're just mid, bro. Like, again, like to credit Quinn Snyder since it's like his first season, I guess, right? Something like that.
No, he got hired.
He started half the season. Yeah.
Maybe last year, so almost a full season. So he's kind of still gotta give him time. But the fact that I don't know that I still do believe in the DeJounte Trey backcourt, like I was saying, but I think it's just those other role players, they just don't know their role. Like, they're all stuck, again, in the same skill set. I think you should have just, you got to let one of them go. Like, Sadiq Bey, I'm pretty sure, kind of like wanted his way out of Atlanta, but they still held on to him. And then you got Clint Capella, who definitely could help a contending team. They didn't want to get rid of him. And then Bogey's a shooter, but outside of that, like, what else does he provide, really? Like, shot creating, yeah, but he's not like good defensively. So we kind of just have a bunch of pieces that again don't fit, and then you just kind of just wasted, in my opinion.
I mean, me personally, I would have been trying to clear salary, like get rid of Clint, give Okongwu a chance, get rid of DeAndre Hunter, let Jalen Johnson shine a little bit more, and then if you really do want to commit to the DeJounte Trey backcourt, and I feel like Jalen Johnson's basically a core player now for them. Like,
oh yeah, he's their second best player.
Right. So like, I would have just gone all in and been like, you know what, this year's probably a wash. Get rid of the people we don't plan on keeping. Why are you keeping Sadiq Bey? He's a 1-year deal. Why are you keeping DeAndre Hunter? You obviously don't believe in him as much anymore. Same thing with Capella. He's fucking 33. So it's like
with like knee problems.
Pick a direction. Either retool or rebuild. It's one or the other, right? So they did neither. So yeah, that's Terry. I feel you. Sucks.
Yeah, I just feel like they gotta. I could see the what is it? The argument that a lot of their guys don't really have the markets for them, anyways. Like I can't really think of a team that would pick up Clint. And like that's contending or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Unless it was just like salary dumps and stuff like that.
I'm literally thinking salary dump.
Yeah, which if they were capable of finding that, like I said, I can't think off the top of my head, but salary dumps for Clint for sure. Then I wouldn't hate if they pulled the trigger. But I could see where a lot of teams wouldn't be super interested in Clint because I can't think a team off the top of my head outside of like the Thunder or something like that who like need size. Obviously, the Sixers lost Embiid.
Yeah.
But not a lot of teams need a center at this point, and Clint is getting paid.
Clint is too.
Yeah, exactly. So then, similar thing with like DeJounte Murray, where it's like there definitely is more teams who would need a DeJounte Murray, but maybe they just don't feel like they would get a return that makes sense. So I'm not completely hating, but regardless, like they haven't done anything, so it's rough to like watch, and I think it's just going to be another mediocre season, which is like they've been that like 500 team for like 10 years or some shit. Yeah.
And they're gonna be it for the next 5 years when they get
exactly. So
max,
it is very sad to see.
All right, y'all had any other losers?
I had two more.
Had two.
You guys go first.
I had the Bucks.
I also had the Bucks. That was my team.
Oh, I actually didn't have the Bucks. I didn't have the Bucks.
I did.
I mean, I think their
But I see what you're
organization,
saying.
yeah, kind of just going downhill as a whole, in my opinion. After firing Adrian Griffin, obviously, getting Doc Rivers to kind of like patch up all the holes, you could say, and then I kind of, in my opinion, disgruntled Giannis at this point, trading for Lillard, and then what? I think they only picked up Pat Bev
They
in
only
the
picked
Yep.
up
trade
Pat
deadline.
Bev, yeah.
Should be, yeah.
Like that, what is that going to do to move them to be kind of like help what they already struggle in defensively? Like Pat Bev, yeah, he's good, but I don't think he's that shifter for them. Like now, Doc Rivers is faced with the all right. Here's your group of guys. Now you just got to make it work on the defensive end. Like yeah, they have the talent, but again, I don't think long term they'll be able to compete with what the East has done in just trades now, and I think just in the future. Like the Knicks already for us, I mean, well for me, has overtook them in the rankings, and then like another team like even the Sixers. Like if Embiid was healthy, I kind of would lean towards the Sixers, I guess, but still the Bucks. I don't know. They're kind of just like stuck in the mud right now.
Yeah, I think they're gonna drop a lot more, especially like in the standings and stuff too. So I mean, maybe that'll be a wake up call of some sorts for the team. I know they didn't want to do too much moves because they just got a new coach. So that's like kind of fair, but I think the same problems will still like present themselves. Like Doc isn't gonna fix their perimeter defense and all that kind of stuff. So
Exactly.
they're very much like lacking, and Pat Bev will definitely contribute to helping out the perimeter defense, but I don't think he is a defensive like stopper like that. He's more so just like he's
Individual.
a good organizer of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
defensive teams and stuff like that. So yeah, I could see where people will say that they like lost, and I for sure think they will drop into that like 4 or 5 seed,
Yeah.
which is going to be kind of like it's been a while since they've been like a lower seed for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
They've remained at that top 3 for like 3-4 years now. So I think this might be a rude awakening for them.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the situation in the East, right? The Knicks got better. I feel like the Celtics got better.
How's got healthy?
You know, yeah. Look, Miami. I think when Terry Rozier finally integrates, they're starting to look a little bit better. I mean, if Embiid wasn't hurt, like Nathan was saying, I would say they would have got better with Buddy Hield. Like a lot of these teams that are competing with them got better. The Cavs are figuring it out and getting healthy, and they have the most glaring weakness that everybody's talking about, and they didn't really resolve it. Like Pat Bev is known as a defensive player, but like he's 35 years old. Oh, 36. Sorry, he's 36 years old. He's not.
Yep.
He's not going to defend every player on the court, and even if he did, like he's just he's not Drew Holiday or you know what I mean. He's not Jaden McDaniels. He's not like not an elite defensive player anymore. I don't think. There's really nothing they did to improve their situation with all the holes they have. And I'm a little surprised, but also to be fair, they don't have assets.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
They're dangling Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis. There were rumors that they were trying to trade Bobby Portis for Grant Williams, which would have been so funny.
Yeah,
I would have loved that because that would have been so funny. But yeah, no, I think they're losers in the sense that like, man, they're probably in a luxury purgatory, but it's still purgatory, man. It's a weird situation.
Yeah, because they're still extremely talented.
Exactly.
But they might reach that point where it's just like, yeah, they keep hitting that like really good like regular season stuff, but then they just keep falling flat where there might be like a blow up in sooner to come than like we would have expected, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's like a whole nother conversation. I had actually 2 other losers because you guys both said you had the Bucks, but I had the Lakers as one. And I mean that one is way more like self-explanatory, where it's just they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They're waiting for the offseason. That one is super quick to me, where it's just like, yeah, LeBron's getting old.
Yep.
I don't think this team is really gonna. I think they could do stuff in the playoffs, but it's just they got to get to the playoffs first.
Someone brought up a good point about the Lakers that I low-key agree with. And I think the theory is that they stood pat because LeBron has pretty much told them he's gone after this year.
Yeah.
And instead of making an all-in move to kind of reverse this season, which we're probably not going to do with how good the other teams are now.
Yep.
That they're like, you know what, we're not going to fuck up our asset tree to appease LeBron for one season when he's gone. And
Yeah.
I mean, all the rumors he was finagling the Knicks in front of their faces and shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'd
I'd be interested if he ended up leaving, like I said, because I just don't see a reason for him to leave unless he like really wanted to be going for a chip again.
Or Bronny.
Because yeah, Bronny too. But I don't know if Bronny's gonna go to the NBA this year or next year. Because I mean I think he could be a great 2-year player and then come to the NBA, but
Yeah.
maybe he declares after 1 year. So that could be like a enforcing reason, I guess, for LeBron to not commit to the Lakers after this year. So yeah, that's just more of a mystery. But yeah, the fact that they didn't do anything, they're definitely not going to be as competitive as any of us were like seeing in the beginning of the year, where we were like, yeah, they could go for a championship run and stuff like that. I think they're still for sure built for the playoffs, but there's just too much. The top teams are actually just very, very good this year, and I can't see them easily beating any of them. I think, yeah, their lack of depth and the age of LeBron is just too much to really like. He can't backpack a team anymore to get to the finals the way that he was before. So I don't see them being any of these like top 4 teams in the West.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you guys had another loser and stuff. My last one was the Warriors. And just for similar reasons, they didn't really do much, but they also haven't shown what they're committing to. Basically, it's like, are they committing to the Steph Curry timeline? Because if they are, they did a shit job of doing that. Because this team is not winning a chip like 100%.
They dumped.
But they all, but they also didn't do anything to, if they were going to go the route of like, let's go for the youth, like capitalize on that, and then still have like Steph here. I highly doubt they would ever trade Steph and all that, but like I said, they just didn't really reinforce either direction. So they're not winning a chip, and they're probably going to waste like Steph's prime, and I don't see how they can use the assets that they have later on to I guess reinforce the team for Steph in following years either.
Because they're stuck in a situation now. I think Clay's expiring, right? And he's been talking about, the Isaiah Thomas thing, bring the Brinks truck. He still wants to be. He still thinks he's a max level player. He's not.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
He's not.
He's not.
Really.
That one's obvious.
And there was discussion of potentially trading Andrew Wiggins.
Yep.
And there was a market around him, so I'm surprised even a retool wasn't in the works. They are giving Kuminga more of a fair chance now. He's been balling out the last couple games.
Yeah, he's been balling.
But yeah, no, I
just
agree.
don't think it's enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. I don't think they're a good team. Steph has been great, and like you were saying, like you're wasting another year of his prime. And I don't see them trading him. So it's like,
absolutely not.
So it's like, what are you gonna do with this team? Where like they're also in a limbo. There's a lot of teams in purgatory right now, and the Warriors are one of them. And they didn't make a move. The one move they made was they traded Corey Joseph to Indiana at a cash salary. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were all my losses.
Yeah.
Or my losers.
There's a lot of losers out there.
Yeah, lots of losers. But a lot of confusing teams.
I will. Okay, there is a team that I'm surprised didn't make a move, but I don't think they're losers for it either. But I thought the Cavs would have tried to do something on the trade deadline.
I think the Cavs feel really good about their team right now, and I mean it's warranted, honestly.
Yeah,
they've been streaking.
Garland's getting healthy again. So.
Yeah, everyone's getting healthy. I don't think they need to make that move, especially because before I think their biggest concern was the wings, but they have a variety of wings to kind of fill in what they need. Like if they need shooting, they got Max Strus. Isaac Okoro is easily their best wing defender, and then that like shot creator and Karis LeVert can serve as like that third wing and stuff. So that I feel like they are cool with, and even like Sam Morril or whatever like that. He's been showing out recently too as like a sharpshooter for the team. So I think eventually they will need to. Because they're going to hit that peak, in my opinion, where they just can't win and they got to trade one of their guys, which is like, the backcourt and the front court don't really mesh together, in my opinion. I I think eventually they'll have to take that move. But for now, I think it's fine for them to roll with what they got.
And they'll probably also leapfrog the Bucks. Yeah, but yeah,
That's
no,
cool.
it'll be interesting. Obviously nothing sexy this trade deadline compared to
Yeah.
last year.
Mhm.
I mean, we had the splashes earlier in the season. You know?
I mean,
like when you really think about it,
Siakam were nice trades.
yeah. And then
But
you had the
man,
Harden trade,
but
which was
no,
hella early.
that was
Yep,
hella early.
yep.
Oh, that's true. That happened way too
Yeah,
early.
so
I feel like if that
yeah, so
happened
I'm
during
like,
the trade deadline, that would have been.
yeah. Because I
Not
was
too
like, I
bad.
remember when that happened, I was saying like, yo, there hasn't been like a big trade like that in the beginning of the season
Yeah.
for a while, and it's cool that teams are doing that because
Yeah.
usually teams just milk it the fuck out
Yeah.
till the trade deadline and then just do all that stuff. But now teams are like, shit, we might as well just get our assets now if we already know we're gonna do this like 4 months down the line.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, that's all we
That's
got
cool.
for you. Until next
Sir.
time. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Peace.